Hello, welcome to Cardboard History. I'm David. Today I want to share a little bit of a collection update and some things that I've found going through the recent cards that I picked up from the auction that I went to, and also talk a little bit about kind of my goal for the next month and a half heading towards the National. And yeah, that's what we're going to do today. This past few weeks have been a little bit crazy. I've noticed that I'm definitely trying to shift gears a little bit, and I think with my collection, I've noticed I go through kind of seasons of buying and holding and looking, and during certain seasons, there's some projects that I'll focus on more than others, and this past few weeks has been a time where I'm really trying to focus on selling some things and trying to whittle down my collection, mostly with the goal of trying to save up for the National and to look at possibly getting a larger card there. And so what that's looked like for me is I've had some cards sitting around that don't really fit into my collection. Some of them are just lower value items that, might only get a couple of dollars on eBay here or there, some old vintage stuff that I have duplicates of. And so I've been trying to figure out what to do with that. I also have all the cards that I got from that auction, which really probably about 90% of what I picked up doesn't fit into my collection. And so I've been moving some of that stuff. I bought a box of 1994 World Cup soccer cards that went for $1 at that auction and was able to sell that whole box for $60 on eBay. So that was kind of a nice turnaround. Don't quite have those percentages on the other things that I sold, but I've been working towards paying off every kind of, recouping what I spent on that auction, and hopefully offsetting everything that I did put into my collection, and then having some additional profit from that to put towards the National. I think the whole discussion over whether or not you're a collector or a dealer or an investor really just comes back to what's the ultimate goal. And a lot of times if I buy cards with the intention to flip them, I'm doing it because I see it as a path forward towards getting something that I want to add to my collection. So even though I might not be collecting a 61 set, when I see the opportunity to purchase a set and turn it around, recognizing that might give me some money that I can spend at the National, I'll definitely use that. It helps me keep some more of the family money in the checking account and at the same time expand my budget. So that's what I've been focusing on. I put together kind of a large collection of stuff that doesn't fit my collection. I'm going to send it off to Greg Morris Cards. And then I also have a friend who I've known for many years, and just recently we've kind of reconnected over the fact that we both collect. I happened to see him at a card show like 3 years ago and had no idea that he was a collector, and so we've been in touch over the years, and he's getting to the point where he's starting to sell off some of his collection. And he had sold a complete set from 1956 to another gentleman down near Dayton, I believe. And he was telling me about this and kind of talking to me a little bit about his plan to sell his 62 complete set, and wanted to know if I would kind of evaluate with him the value of it and see if I thought he was getting a good value. And in that process, I just kind of threw out, I was like, hey, I know what you sold to this guy, but down in Dayton, your last set, for if you're at all would consider it, I'd be interested in buying the 62 set, knowing that there's quite a bit of margin on it, and then I could turn it around and piece it out and make some profit with the eye of putting that towards the National. And so him and we agreed on terms, and I picked that set up yesterday, and it's packed up in a box behind me here, getting ready to go to Greg Morris Cards as well to get pieced out. And I wasn't planning on doing this, but let's see if I can't pull out some things. It was an incredibly impressive set that he had, highlighted by some graded cards. And I'll just show some of these here. If I can get them out. It's definitely one of those moments where I don't think I've had cards of quite this value in my possession. This is something new for me, and if it goes well, maybe there's an opportunity here. But probably the best card here is this Um, Mantle in a 6, which just looks fantastic, really clean. The slab, I was a little bit nervous about the slab at first because it just it looks fake. But this is the first generation of PSA slabs. If you notice, the serial number starts with a 0, so these were produced around 91, 92, and so did certification check on that. And he's had these cards for a long time, so I'm not concerned about it being something that he's recently picked up that he's trying to pawn off as a fake. A few of the other cards that are in there, there's a Snyder and a 7. The entire set is really clean. Vera and a 6. So not all the cards are, there's only about 15 graded cards. The Yastrzemski in a 7, which is just super sharp. Aaron in a 7. So yeah, I'm going to send all these off to Billy Williams in a 7. Send all these off to Greg Morris and just consign them through him. And a huge reason for that is I just do not have the time right now with as busy as everything is. So can sort of pack these up and send them out, and hopefully they will turn them around pretty quickly. So that's a little bit of a look at what I've been going through the last couple of days and trying to get that sorted and packaged up and ready to ship out. And really hoping that does well. Definitely a significant investment on my side to buy the set from him. And I think based on some historic sales data that I ran, it'll do well. But yeah, that's a whole different realm for me. So that's what I've been working on. I want to show a few cards that I've picked up recently. Like I mentioned, I've really not been buying a whole lot lately, apart from, I guess, that huge collection, but that's more of a kind of a turnaround thing, not buying for the collection. But there's a few things that I found sorting through the auction sets that I bought that fit into different projects that I'm working on. So the first ones I want to go through, these are all cards that fit into the Ken Burns collection that I'm working on, if you've seen any of my videos going through that. So these would be cards like number 57 through 68 out of the 462. And the first two I want to show are cards from two pitchers, maybe lesser known, but linked not because of their accomplishments on the mound, but because of the accomplishments of the players that they were pitching against. The first one, Tracy Stollard, he pitched against Maris when Maris hit his 61st home run to break Babe Ruth's record. And then Downing, he pitched against Aaron when he gave up home run number 715. So both of these guys were the pitchers when significant home run records were broken. This card came out of the auction. There was a bunch of 61 cards, and this one was in there. And then this card is actually from the 62 set that I'm sending to Greg Morris. This is the only card that I pulled out of there, just because I needed it for the Ken Burns collection. Next up, this is kind of, I guess, the bad, the good, and maybe the ugly, depending on where you would put these two guys, Lamar Hoyt and Steve Howe. Both of these guys are most known for their involvement in the cocaine scandal in the 80s in baseball, where cocaine use was just rampant, and players would slide headfirst into second base because they didn't want to break the vials of cocaine that were in their back pockets. And so that's sort of kind of the downside. You have some people who didn't play too well and are notorious for their failures on the field, and those for their failures off. Failures on the field, Bill Buckner definitely fits into that category of a scapegoat. The ball that went between his legs in the 86 World Series has really haunted his legacy in the game. So this was these next three 62 or 72 cards all came from the auction. George Foster, most known for being on the Big Red Machine and winning the 75 and 76 World Series. In 76, they beat Chris Chambliss and the Yankees. Chambliss that year hit the game-winning home run to seal the pennant for the Yankees. And then the following year in 77, Chambliss and Munson won the World Series for the Yankees. So this is the 72 and then the 71 Munson in pretty rough condition. But it's just a great action shot. And I've always liked this card. I'll probably try to upgrade this someday, but this one was in that auction collection that I bought. And I didn't have it before. I guess looking now towards some more of the good would be Kirk Gibson and his heroics in the 88 World Series. I think the way that it's portrayed in the Ken Burns documentary is very legendary. That he was dealing with a lot of injuries and really wasn't in playing condition, but he was the best hitter on the team, and they brought him out and asking him if he was ready to go. He said he had maybe one good swing in him, and after fouling off 2 balls, he hit a home run against Dennis Eckersley. So I guess here's another pitcher in this collection who gave up a significant home run, and that home run led to really capturing that game in the World Series and ultimately the World Series for Gibson and his team. This is a second to last card. I've showed this one before, but this fits into the Ken Burns collection as well. The Rickey Henderson rookie in kind of rough shape, so might get upgraded again, but really another fantastic player in the history of baseball. Still has the record for most stolen bases, most unintentional walks, most runs, and most leadoff home runs. So just an all-around intimidating batter. This next card was one I did not expect to find, and sort of a unique card, but I had this in the Ken Burns collection because it's Sophie Kiris, and she played in the Women's Baseball League during World War II. And this is from the 1992 Ted Williams collection. There were a handful of cards from that collection. I have another one over here, the Buck O'Neill. And there's just a handful of these that were in there, and I spotted this one and realized that it was actually on my list of cards that I was looking for. Now, if you don't know, Sophie Kiris was also known, her nickname was Tina Cobb. She averaged 100 stolen bases per year, which is just wild. She even one year, see if it's on here. Yeah, this year right here in 1946 stole 201 bases. Those 201 bases were on 203 attempts. So that is a better than 99% success rate in stealing bases, which is just crazy. So there's a lesser known woman in baseball. Then those were all the auction pickups. This card was just an eBay pickup. This is the W514 of Jimmy Ring. He was a pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds, and I'm trying to do the 514 set for all the Reds and Black Sox players in the 1919 World Series, which was infamously known as the Black Sox scandal. So Ring was a pitcher. He won Game 4 and helped Cincinnati onto the championship. These cards, especially the players for the White Sox, when I first went through and was kind of pricing out, I was not expected to see these be as high as they have ended up. But they've definitely been one of the more challenging cards to find for my Ken Burns collection, and hopefully maybe I'll be able to find something at the National for that. Then this next card, this is just for my Cubs collection. This was a REA purchase of Buck Herzog. Again, this is from the W514 set. Of all the strip cards, this is the set that I like the most. And so I've been slowly picking up Cubs whenever I find them. This is by far the best condition one that I've found. Most of them are closer to that Jimmy Ring card in condition. But just blank back, a little bit of writing. But these are strip cards that were cut out. If you see a little bit of the dotted line there, and just like the artistry on these more than like the W515s, I think. So those are some recent pickups that I have. I've been keeping my eye on the Laughlin Old Time Black Stars cards, and I know there's been a lot going around about those ever since the Negro League stats were officially integrated into Major League Baseball. And I'm kind of not sure what to do about those now, because I have about 15 of those cards that are in my Ken Burns collection, and I still want to keep those cards because I think they're great, but they have just gone crazy expensive. The Josh Gibson sold for almost $4,000, just a raw card, which the previous high record was under $1,000. And what's even crazier is I was keeping an eye. REA had a complete set go up for auction in their spring auction before the Negro League stats were integrated, and the entire set sold for less than $3,000. And it happens whenever you're keeping an eye on stuff. Eventually, you'll hit the market where, if I just would have bought that here, then I could have saved myself a lot when stuff goes way up. And on the other side too, it'll probably end up that, if I just would have waited a couple of months, the stuff came down in price. And I've definitely bought stuff at the high point. So I'm hoping those cards come back down. The benefit of the Negro League stats being added in for collecting is that a lot of those cards are showing up on eBay now. I've been keeping an eye out for a while and not really seeing a whole lot of them become available for any reasonable prices, or even at auction. Most of the time they're just listed at outrageous buy it now prices. And I've seen a lot over the past few weeks hit eBay, but again, they're all going for 3, 4, 5 times what I have down on my collection spreadsheet of what I want to spend for those cards. So I guess we'll see if the market stabilizes. That's a few more cards that I might have my eye out for at the National, but if the prices are still outrageous high, then I'm just going to hold off on those, and maybe in a year or two they'll come back down to normal. So we'll see. But those are some things that I've been keeping my eye on, and some pickups that I've had, and I'm really looking forward to the National. I'm glad that the YouTube get-together is back on and that they were able to find a location for that, and really just looking forward to experiencing the National for myself. This will be the first time that I've gone, and being so close to me here in Ohio, it'll be a great opportunity. So I'm looking forward to that, and looking forward to hopefully seeing many of you there. I had a great time at Strongsville, and I would love to reconnect with many of the people that I was able to see there. So I want to thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed and saw some things that don't normally get showed on YouTube. And I just want to thank you all again for watching Cardboard History.